Aloha Nui. So today I'm going to be doing a special episode of DeOccupy Honolulu on site here at Iolani Palace. I'm sitting down with Auntie Dawn Wasson. How are you doing today?
Maikai, mahalo.
So you had something that you wanted to share tonight?
Well, I'm a kupuna. E nā akuna au makua nā kupuna aloha kākou. Aloha. E mahalo nui loa ia oko e holohe I nā mo'olelo na maokua hau I nā kupuna ua hala I kalani. I'm here to share with everyone about the trials and the problems that the Native Hawaiians have had since the overthrow in 1893 up to the present. As I was traveling around the islands from the island of Hawaii, Maui, and Molokai, the kupunas were all saying that there's many differences among families and friends and organizations. But the two things that was very rallying from the voices of kupuna and Hawaiians and non-Hawaiians, and that is that we all agree that we want the land and the water back. That's the first step for Hawaiians, is to get the land and the water back. The next step is we need to decide what kind of governance we want. But let me say this emphatically, that the lands of our ancestors is in the Mahele. And it has always been in the Mahele and was made for the Hawaiian families to go back to their ancestral lands and to go back and get the lands and the kingdom that the Queen left for all of us to go back and get it. But the thing about it is our own people, what they did was they coerced, they acquiesced.
Yes.
What they did was they acquiesced with those in power, and rather than being strong as warriors and maintain the land and the culture and the history and perpetuating who we are as Hawaiians or Kanaka Maulis, they acquiesce, and because of that, we are in the situation we are in today.
Mm-hmm.
We are constantly in the courts fighting for our ancestral lands. The big landowners like Alexander and Baldwin, Castle and Crook, Zion Security Corporation, Hawaii Reserves Incorporated, Castle and many of the big businesses all over the islands. If you look at the courts, you'll see many of the lands that are being quiet title, adverse possession or hostile taking by all these big businesses, and they use that as a vehicle. I mean, this is so sad that Hawaiians have their lands, Hawaiians are removed from their lands, but the thing about it is the court system that allows these big businesses to use money and power and the legal system for them to steal Native Hawaiian lands. So as Hawaiians, we have constantly been in the court system trying to protect lands, and we have not been successful. I mean, if there's few of them, but still, there's always an opening that the plaintiffs or those who, the big landowners, are still having an opening where they can bring the case back again. For me, I say, get rid of the American system. Tell America, get out of Hawaii. Tell Yankees, go home. All of these countries like Iran, Iraq, Egypt, they kicked the Americans out. And you know what? We, the Hawaiians, should do the same thing. But we have our own people who are confused, who are not very eleo, but also not strong enough to say no. And I tell you why. They're caught up in the system. They like the food stamps. They like the Section 8 housing. They like the Social Security for disability. They will play that game because they like it, the easy life. But they're not majority of the Hawaiians. I mean, I, for one, I was married at 18, had 4 sons by I was 25. But by age 33, I was a freshman in college without a high school diploma. So I got a degree in political science. What did they do for me? Nothing. Because it taught me that while I was in the university, I was being coerced to think like them. But when I went back into my community, my people had no idea what I was talking about. So here I'm coming in with the Western ideas, how to tell my people, if for you to live in this country, my own people's country, we have to function as Americans. And the answer is no. It doesn't protect us. It doesn't do anything for us. So I'm here today. I brought these tapes. These tapes are the tapes and oral history and voices of the kupuna. And the kupunas are gone. But these are their voices. And I've always concerned that I would never finish all of their stories. I would never be able to put it on the internet. I'd never be able to write it in books, what they're saying to all of us about their knowledge, about native knowledge, about fishing, about everything that the Po'ehaulis come here and tell us, oh, we know what to do about fisheries. They don't know nothing. They don't know Hawaii. Who knows Hawaii? But the people who come from this land. And so what do? They use Western methodologies, they use Western terms, and then they want us to use their terms. No, we keep the names in the words of our own people, And so we cannot change our language, we cannot change the terminologies that are used by our people, because in the terminologies, it says a lot. And so that's why native knowledge is important.
When you say terminology, I know what you mean. Like, some people refer to the continental United States as the mainland, and sometimes I have to correct them. I said that no, it's not the mainland. That implies ownership of these islands. No, that's the continental U.S. Something like that, yeah?
Well, again, terminologies, this is the way you strip a person of their own identity. Mm-hmm. Now, for us as Hawaiians, we have written literature. I brought books, and I failed to show the books that every Hawaiian should have a library. And all they should read is all of the books, written literature by people like John Papai'i, Samuel Kamakau, David Malo, Kepelino, and all of the written literature about who we are. But we got to remember this. We cannot allow non-Hawaiians to interpret our culture. We cannot, because they come with their own biases, and they don't say that, but they are biased. And so our interpretation of who we are and what our culture represents and what our native knowledge must come from our own perspective.
Understood.
Okay, so the thing about it is our people did not know that in the mythology, in the Hawaiian mythology, our kupunas hid the kauna, the hidden meaning in the mythology. A good example is this song, Ena Iwali no Oko, which was a chant. Ena Iwali no Oko is when Kamehameha is dying, and he's with his wife Kahehe Malie, and the chiefs are coming to see him, and they're saying to him, if you die, what's going to happen to him? What's going to happen to them? And he said, Ena Iwali no Oko. And he says, can you people not, while I'm dying, I'm trying, to take care of my health, and all you guys worrying about is who's going to take care of you. And there's a counter behind that. They don't want him to die, but they know he's really ill. But Ena Iwali no Oko, it says in the chorus, and the song goes like this: Ena Iwali no Oko, I ke kumu pono a ole pau, I ke kumu pono a o Hawaii, e mau ke o ka aina I ka po, o no, e mau ke o ka aina I ka pono. E ho o kahi kamana o, e ho o kahi pu'uwai, e ho o kahi ke aloha, e mau ke o ka aina I ka po, o no, e mau ke o ka aina I ka pono. That chorus is saying to all of us, be of kahi kamana, be of one thought, one mind. E ho kahi kamana o, e ho kahi pu'uwai, be of one heart. E ho kahi ki aloha, be of one love, and that righteousness will reign for us forever. So it is what we need to say to each other. Let us not look at the past for things that we've said to each other and hurt each other's feelings, but let's look at this present, how we can become one in the protection and the preservation of who we are as a people, but our own leadership. In the past, we've had all these different men stand up and say that they're Kamehameha this and Kamehameha that. You know what? Did you ever hear a woman say that I'm the mo'i wahine? No. Because why? We women know better than that. We're not the ones to go brag who we are. We are the doers. We are the doers, and we are the ones who create with God. Okay? So we don't want to bring our children or grandchildren into this world knowing that there's worse in store for them. So that's why the women of Hawaii, I don't care if you're Hawaiian, Samoan, Tongan, Japanese, Howling, we live in Hawaii, but we must unite. And I know that people are saying, oh, I'm worried about if the Hawaiian kingdom come, what about my house and my land? I said, the Hawaiians didn't sell you your land. Somebody sold it to you, and somebody gave you a title that was not a good title. And they ensured that your title was good. Well, they lied. And the title company is legally responsible to the people that they sold the land to under the color of title. Now let's go back to the leadership. We women must step forward. We must step forward and take our place to protect the kingdom under the Queen. She left an opening for us to do it. And we have violated that trust. We have violated that trust, and we, the women, must step forward. Now, I tell you, ka'ahumanu, kahehmalie, ke ka'uluo he umano, ke opulani, and I forget the fifth wahine. They were the ones that broke the kapu system, Ainoa. Ka'ahumanu was the one, and others was the one that wanted us to be Christianized. I took this with other kupunas to the Big Island and to Maui and to tell the Ali'ivahine. This is what happened to our people. This is what's happening to us now. We are a minority in our own kingdom. We are a minority in our own land and own ocean and our own culture. We are a minority, but we are a stranger to our own land. A stranger to our own land. And everybody who comes here eat out of the poi bowl of our people. Waikiki, for example. These people are making billions of dollars off the sweat of the culture of our people, and we get nothing from it. And they're interpreting our culture for what it is not. It is not what they're saying it is. Aloha spirit, aloha to make money. Our aloha is genuine. We have kindness, we have tolerance, we have all those things. But what happened? We practice our culture, and other people eat out of our culture and make billions of dollars. And that needs to stop. We and the people of Hawaii, we must close Waikiki. Close them down. And I'm saying this as a kupuna and a wahine. If Waikiki does not ever listen to us, we will go and take possession of it. And I'm going to tell the people of Hawaii, the young people of the men and women of Hawaii, arm yourself. That's the First Amendment in the Constitution of the United States. You have a right to arm yourself. And they say, oh, I don't support arming. I says, I'm sorry. Because nobody's listening to us, you give us no choice. Look at what happened to Egypt. If the people didn't take to the streets and commit violence, nobody would have listened to them. The same thing for Iran, Iraq, all these countries. America wasn't listening to them. America said, oh, we're going to take over them. You know what? They didn't get it for free. And Hawaiians, we have never shown them. We always come and we walk in marches and we talk about God and everything. But these people couldn't kill us. Their God is money. And I'm telling my people, you better do something about it. And you're asking me if I walk to close down Waikiki, you bet I will. At the sake of my life, I will. You know why? Because we have nothing to give to the future. And we tried every which way and they won't listen. So if they ask me, are you willing to go and stop Waikiki? You bet.
After closing Waikiki, what else? What other strategic points would you want to close? Some people mention maybe like the harbors or the airports.
Yes, because the commerce, all of the things are coming into Hawaii. And we can grow our own food. So we should close the harbors. And we should close the airport. You know? And all of the people from the unions, from the workers, and the police department and fire department, they should all say, hey, we're going to do a sick out. Why? Because the Hawaiians are saying, until we stand together, we lose. We have to stand together.
All right. So I wanted to ask you about what was in these pictures right here.
These pictures are the kupunas, the oral history of our kupuna. Their voices telling us what their lives were like. Plantation life, being self-sufficient. They talked about living off the land. They didn't need any money. I remember my kupuna, They went to the store one time a year, once a year. They raised all their animals, they raised all their food, and one time a year.
Now,
So, hang on a minute.
sorry,
So,
sorry.
So they were self-sufficient, okay? So they raised their own food and everything. But there's a story about a kupuna. One of my great-grandfathers, he went to the store once a year to buy only 2 items, sugar and rice. And all because his granddaughter wanted to eat rice cake. And that's all he went to the store to buy. And that's all, I mean, and he had money. He raised sugar cane, and he had Chinese workers for him. And he sold his sugar cane to the plantation, cocoa plantation. So these are the kupunas. My kupunas there were diligent. That picture in the front is the whole ahupua of Laie. Okay, and you see all of those houses and everything. Kanaina leased the land in 1861 to businessmen. And then the businessmen went and renewed the lease. But when they went to renew the lease, they mortgaged the lease. And they made it a practice to foreclose on the mortgage. And so the land was sold from a leased land to fee simple, which is a fraud. And then they sold it to the Mormon representatives, Francis Ashbury Hammond and George Becker. From 1865 up to the present, the Mormons have diligently and collectively did everything to steal the land from their own members and steal the land from Native Hawaiians who are Mormons in the community. I have been, since 1973, when I heard kupuna say that they had land, I didn't believe them. I thought they were saying something that was not true, some kind of story they made up. But I said, okay, I'll go look up. I'll go to the Bureau of Conveyance and I'll go look and see if it's true. And I found out that what they were saying was true. This is their story. And if I don't present their stories, if I don't write their stories, it will die. It will break my heart because of their knowledge is so important. These people, they sold us out. They decided that they were going to be Mormons and they were not going to fight for Hawaiian lands. And yet in Laie, there were 212 families that owned their lands. There were only 3 vigilant families that stood for the land, and now there's only 1. And we're caught up in the court system. So we have people within our community, we have people within our own families, and we have people within the Hawaiian as a whole. And they waffle. And that's your right to waffle. But not at my risk, not at my sake, and not at the sake of my children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and others who feel the same as I do. We have a right to exist in our own country. And as long as we allow this system, this leadership of the Democratic Party, to continue their raping and enslavement of Hawaiians in this town, we lose. And I will not do it. Time is not on my side. I old already. But I'm saying to the Hawaiians, stand up and fight. Stand up and fight. Do not lay down and be enslaved by this system. And if you don't, you lose, your children lose, and everybody else lose. We have our own Hawaiians that are selling us out. The Office of Hawaiian Affairs and Kana'i Olovalu. I'm told they have a 1.9 million budget and to go and have this convention so that Hawaiians will come. You know what they're going to do with the money? What they've done with it all the time. They go and bring their own people. They go and buy them things for them to go and participate in this, this sham.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Where Hawaiians go and got to get a legislature to get a bill to have Hawaiians' names that were signed up for OHA, called Kauinoa, and go to the legislature. Not to the people now, not to the people who signed to support OHA. They go to the legislature, not to the people who signed it, and get them to legislate to transfer the names from the Office of Hawaiian Affairs to Kana'i'olowalu. And Kana'i'olowalu has public meetings that the public don't know about. They've done it so many times. So John Waihe'e and his people, okay, I'll give you an example. John Waihe'e, okay. Henry Peters, what's his name was in the Senate? Oh shoot, I can just Richard, not Richard Wong, Dickie Wong. Okay, yeah, Richard Dickie Wong. Okay. 3-part Hawaiians in the in the legislature. They had an opportunity to do good to the Hawaiian people. What did they do? They did good to themselves. Henry Peters, what? He was a trustee for what? Kamehameha schools. So how do you become a trustee? Well, you're appointed by the Supreme Court, Hawaii Supreme Court. Mm-hmm. And guess what? They all have one thing in common. They're all members of the Democratic Party. So this is a party kind of decision that not for the outcome for Hawaiians to be beneficiaries, but for themselves. And so Henry Peters was Speaker of the House, legislator, and trustee for Kamehameha School. That's a conflict of interest. I mean, total. So here we have Hawaiian leaders that sell us out and do not have integrity. Get rid of them. Or they got rid of themselves. Good for them. But you know what? We don't want that kind of leadership. And then I have, Hawaiians that say, I'm Kamehameha this and Kamehameha that. And then you ask them, oh, what's their background? Oh, I was released from prison. Prison? We don't want those kind of representation. We have Hawaiian doctors. We have Hawaiian lawyers. We have Hawaiians, in masters and PhDs. And they go like this, do I want to participate in a nation with people like that? Of course not. But we have to provide them something to bring their skills to the table. And we haven't done it yet.
What's one way we could do that?
Unify. We have to unify. And the way to do it is we have to set up our own government under the Queen. The government that she left, we must go back to her government. Reinstate the government and elect our leaders. And we elect them from the different communities, the different ahupuas, the different mokus, the different ahupuas, and then have our own election. Not run by the state.
Duly noted. Is there anything else that you wanted to present or let me know?
Well, I thank you for the opportunity to come and speak.
I thank you for the opportunity for coming on the show and giving me a chance to present this history. I do feel very blessed and honored.
Well, I want to end this with saying that Hawaii will not recognize that the Samoan people have a stake in Hawaii. The history of the Samoan people in Hawaii is something that Hawaiian historians, Hawaiian history and Hawaiian, the Hawaiian programs at the universities do not want to perpetuate that Pa'ao was from Samoa. And so did Pili come from Samoa. And this woman named Nama'u Malaea. These are the ones that speak to the history of the Samoans conquering Hawaii and then teaching them about the chiefly titles and about how the chiefs and the commoners must behave so that they give dignity to the leadership. Now, these leaders at the time knew their commitment to their people. They took care of their people, okay? They're saying, oh, Hawaiians, we had battles and we killed each other and all that. Oh, yeah? Well, didn't the Christians do it? Didn't Europeans do it? So why? We special? We're supposed to be peaceful all our life? We have differences. We're human beings. But don't come and tell us our history and rewrite our history from your perspective when it's tainted. Okay? We Hawaiians have a right to interpret our own history from our own perspective and not theirs. That's what this is. That's what the kupunas kept. And if you think that their old history is tainted, it isn't. So, mahalo for allowing me.
Mahalo for coming. All right. This has been DeOccupy Honolulu, changing the discourse. Thank you for joining us.
Give me a cigarette and a shot of whiskey.